Hey guys, welcome to video lesson 2.4, video solution on multiplying and dividing rational numbers. Please be sure you have the following questions done before you begin watching this video. Let's begin. Okay, number 1. How is multiplying and dividing rational numbers similar to multiplying and dividing integers? So the solution I have is the same rules for signs of integers are applied to rational numbers. When two rational numbers have the same sign, your solution is positive. When two rational numbers have different signs, the solution is negative. Number 2, find the reciprocal of negative 2 over 5. So the reciprocal means to turn the numerator and denominator around. So we're looking at negative 5 over 2. Okay, for number 3, tell whether the expression is positive or negative without evaluating. So in number 3, I have a negative rational number times a negative. So we learned in chapter 1 that a negative times a negative is a positive. In number 4, I have a positive rational number being divided by a negative. So when my signs are different, my answer is negative. For number 5, I have a negative times a positive. So when my signs are different, the answer is negative. In number 6, I have a negative divided by a negative. So when my signs are the same, my answer is positive. Okay, let's move on to the next set. We are now moving on to numbers 7 through 31 odd. I'll be doing the work off on the side here. So number 7, we're going to take negative 1 and write it as negative 1 over 1 times 4 over 5. And we multiply straight across. Negative times positive is negative. And 1 times 5 is 5. So my final solution, negative 4 over 5. Okay. Number 9. I have negative 25 hundredths times 1. So when I multiply, I just ignore the signs until the end. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. So let's figure out the decimals. I have 1, 2 decimal places. So 1, 2. Then I have 2 negatives, which is a positive. So my final answer is 25 hundredths. Okay, let's go to number 11. In number 11, we have 1 over 4 divided by negative 3 over 8. So in division, we multiply, we change divide. So kind of like subtraction, keep, change, and then this is flip. So we change this to multiplication, and we're going to flip this. So it becomes negative 8 over 3. So that's the reciprocal. So I'm going to cross reduce. 4 divide 4 is 1. Negative 8 divide 4 is negative 2. Now I can multiply straight across to get negative 2 over 3. Okay. Let's go to number 13. We have negative 1 over 5 divided by 20. Remember, 20 is the same as 20 over 1. So what we're going to do is keep, change, flip. And now we multiply straight across. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. 5 times 20 is 100. So our solution to number 13 is negative 1 over 100. have negative 10 and 2/7 divided by negative 4 and 4/11. So the first thing we're going to do is make everything improper. 7 times 10 is 70, plus 2, we have negative 72 over 7. 11 times 4 is 44, plus 8, we have negative 48 over 11. Now I can keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. So these numbers, I want to try to reduce them. I know 9 times 8 equals 72, and I know 6 times 8 equals 48. So I'm going to divide both of these by 6. Sorry, by 8. This gives me negative 9. This gives me 6. I can divide the 6 and the 9 by 3. So this gives me negative 3, and this gives me 2. Now I'm going to multiply straight across. Negative 3 times 11 is 33. 7 times 2 is 14. I'm going to convert this to a mixed number. So 14 goes into 33 2 times, with 5 left over. So my final answer is 2 and 5 over 14. 2 and 5 over 14. Okay, let's move on to number 17. Okay. So we have 8 divided by 2 and 2/10. So 8 goes in the division house. 2 and 2/10 stays out. So remember, this is the dividend and this is the divisor. Move this over once to make it 22. The decimal on 8 is at the end, so we move that once to the right, and decimal goes straight up. 22 goes into 83 times. That gives us 66. 10 minus 6 is 4. 7 minus 6 is 1. All right, so let's see. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 and 1 is 13. So it's got to be 6. That gives me 8. Add a 0 and bring down. So it's got to be 3. 3 times 22 is 66. So add a 0. So this looks like it's going to repeat. 22 into 140 is going to be 6 times. So my final solution is 3 and 63/100 repeating. So it should look like this. All right, that bar means that the 6 and the 3 repeat. 6, 3, 6, 3, 6, 3. Okay, let's move on to number 19. We have negative 18/100 divided by 3/100. So we'll set up our division house. The 18/100 goes in, the 3/100 goes out. We move this twice to the right, so we move this twice to the right. 3 goes into 18 6 times. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Negative 6. Okay, let's go to 21. We have 12 and 42/100 divided by negative 4 8/10. So the 1242 goes in, and the negative 4 8/10 goes out. Let's move this decimal once to the right. So we move this one once to the right. So 48 goes into 124 2 times. So we borrow 14 minus 6, 8. This becomes an 11 minus 9 is 2, and we bring down. So let's see. 9's too big. Let's try 7. That's 28. Okay, so that's too big. Let's try 6. That's 48. 24 and 2 is 26. 268. So let's subtract. That's 4. That's 1. So let's see. 3, 12, 14. So 3 is too big. So we're going to go back to 2. That's 6. 96. So let's subtract. You get 4. Okay, so I think we did number 21 wrong. So we're going to start this again. Okay, so it's part of the problem when we don't write neatly. Numbers get confused. Okay, so 4.8 becomes 48, and 12 and 42 hundredths becomes 124 and 2/10. So 48 goes into 124 2 times. 2 times 48 is 96. When we subtract, so I'm going to make this an 11. 14 minus 6 is 8. And 11 minus 9 is 2. And then we bring down. 48 goes into 282 5 times. 5 times 48 is 240. When we subtract, we get 42. Add a 0 and bring down. I just need to move this over a little bit. Okay. So 48 goes into 420 8 times. 8 times 48 is 384. So let's subtract. This 2 becomes a 1. 10 minus 4 is 6. 11 minus 8 is 3. Add a 0 and bring down. 48 goes into 360 7 times. 7 times 48 is 336. The 6 becomes a 5. So we get 4, 2, and a 0. Bring down. And 48 goes into 240 5 times with a 0 left over. Decimal point goes straight up. So my final solution is 2 and 5,875 10,000ths. All right, there we go. We got it. Okay, let's move on to 23. Okay, for 23, we're going to take 5 over 6 and multiply it to negative 8 over 15. So I'm going to cross reduce. 6 and 8 are even numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. I'm going to cross reduce these by dividing by 5. 5 divided 5 is 1. 15 divided 5 is 3. Now I multiply straight across. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. So number 23 is negative 4/9. All right, let's move on to 25. So 25, we have negative 3 1/3 times negative 2 7/10. So the first thing we're going to do is make these improper. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So negative 10 over 3 times 10 times 2 is 20, plus 7 is 27. So we have negative 27 over 10. Next step, cross reduce. I'm going to divide these by 10. So 10 divide 10 is 1. Negative 10 divide 10 is negative 1. I'm going to divide these by 3. 3 divide 3 is 1. And negative 27 divide 3 is negative 9. Now I'm going to multiply straight across. Negative 1 times negative 9 is 9. And 1 times 1 is 1. So 9 over 1 is the same as 9. So either answer is okay. All right. All right, let's move on to 27. So we have 5 hundredths times 5 tenths. When I have decimals, I worry about the signs at the end, and I just want to multiply and get a number. And then I worry about decimals, and then I worry about signs. So 5 times 5 is 25, 5 carry 2. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. Now I count decimal places. 1, 2, 3. So starting here, I go in 1, 2, 3. This empty spot, we get a 0. And then I look at my signs. Negative times negative equals positive. So my final solution is 25 hundredths. All right, that was number 27. So let's move on to 29. So here we have 3 numbers. We can tackle all 3 at once or do 2 at a time. I personally like doing 2 numbers at a time. Since this is already proper, I'm going to work with the second number and the third number and then multiply the 5 over 6 in. So we will start with negative 4 1/2 times negative 2 1/5. So making them improper, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Negative 9 over 2 times 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So negative 11 over 5. So I can't cross reduce any of these numbers, so I'm going to leave them as they are. So I multiply straight across. Negative times negative is positive. 9 times 11 is 99 over 10. Now I'm going to take this number, 99 over 10, and I'm going to multiply it to the last number that we haven't used yet, 5 over 6. So taking a look at 5 and 10, I can divide these by 5. 10 divided 5 is 2. 5 divided 5 is 1. I can take a look at these 2 and divide them by 3. 6 divided 3 is 2, and 99 divide 3 is 33. So this becomes 33. So just want to clear this out. So now I multiply straight across. 33 times 1 is 33, and 2 times 2 is 4. Be very careful. Some students see the 2's and just write 2 over here. Now I'm going to make this a mixed number. Numerator is my dividend. Denominator is my divisor. 4 goes into 33 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. 1 left over. So my final solution is 8. There's 1 left over out of 4. So 8 and 1/4. Okay, that was number 29. We're now going to move on to 31. Okay, describe and correct the error. So when we look at this, there's no way of knowing if that number is right or wrong. So we're going to come over here just like we've done in the past, and we always do the correct part first. So this is the correct. And we're going to take 2 2/10 and multiply it by 3 7/10. 7 times 2 is 14. 4 carry 1. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 1 is 15. Okay, we are done with the 7, so let's put a 0 here. We're now going to work with the 3, and we're going to go through each digit. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. And we add. We get 4, 11, 6, 7, and 1 is 8. Okay, the next thing we need to do is add up our decimal places. 1 and 2. So starting on the right, we go in 1, 2. So far I have an answer of 8 and 1400ths. A negative times a positive is a negative. So hopefully you can see the mistake. The mistake this person made was that they left the solution positive. It's very common for students to say, well, the 3 is bigger than the 2, so the answer has to be positive. But in multiplication, since the signs are different, the answer is going to be negative. That's the same rule in chapter 1 when we had integers with different signs. The solution's negative. So the describe part is the solution needs to be negative, and you could even add in because the signs are different. Okay, and the correct solution, well, here's all the work, and the final answer is right there. Okay, let's move on. We're now going to do 35 to 40 all. So for 35, I'm simply multiplying 3 decimals. So I'm going to do the 2 negatives first just to get them out of the way, because I know a negative times a negative is going to be a positive. So 4 and 2/10, 1 and 9/10. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 4 is 36, and 1 is 37. Okay, we're done with the 9. We're going to the 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. Let's add. We get 8, 9, 7. 2 decimal places. 1, 2. 1, 2. So this piece gives us a product of 7 and 9800ths. So now we take this number and we multiply it to this positive 8 and 1/10. So we get 8, 9, 7. We're done with the 1. We go to the 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 8 is 72. And we're going to add 6. We get 78. 8 times 7 is 56, and we're going to add 7. That gives us 63. Okay, now we add 8, 9 and 4 is 13. 8 plus 8 is 16. 4 and 6. Now we add up decimal places. 1, 2, 3, starting on the right. Go in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so final solution. Oh my goodness. I did all that wrong. Let's try again. I can't believe I did that. All right, so I totally ignored the signs. So let's start here. Okay, so I see negative 4 2/10 plus 8.1 times negative 9.1. So what I must do here, I must multiply first following order of operations. So I'm going to take 8 1/10 and times it by 1 9/10. So 9 times 8 is 72. I'm done with the 9, I go to the 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 8 is 8. We get 9, 3, 15. Now we count decimal places. 1, 2. So from the right, 1, 2. And a positive times a negative is a negative. So what I'm going to do next is take negative 1539 and add negative 4 2/10. In addition, since my signs are the same, I'm going to add these two. So I'm going to take 1539, and I'm going to add 4 2/10, add a 0. Be sure you line up your decimal points, just like dollars and cents. 9, 5, 9, 1. In addition, decimal point just drops, and we keep the common sign. So the final solution is negative 19 59/100. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we have 2 85/100 minus 6 2/10 divided by 2 squared. So we need to follow order of operations. So I'm going to start with exponents first. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. So I get 285 minus 6 2/10 divided by 4. The next thing I'd like to do is divide. So I'm going to come over here, take 6.2 and divide it by 4. So 4 goes into 22 5 times. 2 left over, add a 0 and bring down. 4 goes into 20 5 times with 0 left over. Decimal goes straight up. So what I have here is 285 minus 1 55/100. At this point, what I have left is a minus problem. So I'm going to rewrite that in addition. 285 plus, add, opposite. Okay, so since my signs are different, I'm going to subtract. Some of you in this point asked, do I really need to rewrite plus opposite? And the answer is no. You can just solve from here. So I'm going to take 285 and subtract 155. Okay, and I get positive, because there's more positives than there are negatives, 1 3/10, or 1 30/100. Okay, and that 0 at the end is optional. Okay, so that was number 36. We'll be moving on to number 37. So for 37, we have negative 3 64/100 times the absolute value of negative 5 3/10. So the absolute value is 5 3/10. So times 5 3/10 minus 1 5/10 to the third power. So following order of operations, I have to do exponents first. So 1 5/10 to the third power is 1 5/10 times 1 5/10 times 1 5/10. So 1.5, 1.5. 5 times 5 is 25. That's 7. This is 5 and that's 1. So we get 5. That's 13. Nope, sorry, that's 12. This is a 2, and that's a 2. 2 decimal places. So this is equal to 2 2500ths, and we still have to multiply that by 1.5. I'm going to erase this work, so I'm running out of room. Please don't erase your work. So now we take 225 and times it by 1.5. 5 times 5 is 25, 12, 10 and 1's 11. We're done with this place value. So 5, 2, and 2, 5, 7, 3, 3. And we have 3 place values, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So this whole thing is equal to 3 375 thousandths. Once again, I'm going to erase the little work. Please don't erase your work. So negative 3 6400ths times 5 3/10 minus 3 375. So now when I look at my problem, I have multiplication and subtraction. Following order of operations, I must multiply next. Okay, so I'm going to now go under more work here, 364. So in multiplication, we don't line up the decimal. Okay, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18, and 1 is 19. 3 times 3 is 9, and 1 is 10. Okay. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 and 6 is 30, plus 2 is 32. 5 and 3 is 15, 16, 17, 18. We add. Okay. So a negative times a positive is a negative because the signs are different. And I need to figure out what my decimal point is. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I get negative 19 292 thousandths minus 3 375 thousandths. Okay, our last step is to simply subtract. So we're going to rewrite this as add the opposite. So this minus sign becomes plus, and this guy becomes the opposite. So since my signs are the same, I'm going to add and keep my sign. So 5, 16, 6, 12, 2. Decimal goes straight down. So I get negative 22 665 thousandths. This is number 37. Oh, I made one tiny mistake right here. So 5 plus 2 is 7, not 5. 7. All right, so there's number 37 for you.